Welcome, everyone. We're diving into navigating different parenting styles and how couples can work through their differences to keep the family bond strong.
I'm really excited about this topic because, parenting is such a personal and sometimes even polarizing subject.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. One of the key ideas here is that parents often come from totally different backgrounds, and that shapes how they approach raising their kids.
Right. It's pretty much like each of us brings a unique blueprint from our childhood. And that blueprint
Yes.
influences areas like discipline, expectations, chores, you name it.
Exactly. And speaking of different approaches, we've got these four generally accepted parenting styles: authoritarian, authoritative, permissive, and uninvolved.
That's interesting. So if I understand correctly, authoritarian parents set strict rules without much explanation.
Yep, that's the gist. And on the flip side, you've got authoritative parents who are highly involved and nurturing. They set clear expectations but also explain them. They provide
it.
warmth alongside structure.
And then there's permissive parenting, where boundaries are few and far between, right?
Right, you are. Permissive parents are more open. They let communication flow, but they often lack that firm guidance. And finally, we have uninvolved parenting, where the focus is mostly on meeting basic needs, but with very little nurturing or engagement.
Wow, it's almost like they're sides of a spectrum. Now, what really fascinates me is how these differences come about.
Exactly, and that's key. Parenting differences can stem from a whole range of factors: histories, personalities, cultures, lifestyle needs, even fears and meta-emotion styles.
It's really like mixing different recipes, each with their unique ingredients. And sometimes the mashup can get a bit complicated in practice.
Precisely. And if you imagine a scenario where, say, one partner is authoritative while the other is uninvolved, you'll quickly see an imbalance in the parenting workload.
Yeah, that imbalance could really lead to resentment over time, which is definitely not good for anyone.
Right on. And then you have the classic debate about discipline. What does discipline mean? How right should your response be? When each parent has a different outlook, that can spark a lot of tension.
So, how exactly do couples work through these deep-rooted differences?
Well, that's where some really practical advice comes in. Certified Gottman therapist Kimberly Panganiban, LMFT, outlines a two-step approach. It all starts with dialogue, taking time to really dig deep together in conversation.
I love that idea. Talking it through, comparing notes on beliefs about parenting, discipline, even what love means in the context of raising kids. It's
Right.
like, syncing up two different playlists.
Exactly. It's like finding common ground among contrasting melodies. For instance, each partner is encouraged to answer questions about core values, like what's most important to instill in their children, or what their own experiences from childhood were like.
And that naturally leads into understanding each other's fears and goals when it comes to parenting, right?
Yes, absolutely. And once that dialogue happens, step 2 is all about compromises. This means identifying which areas you can be flexible about and which are your non-negotiables.
That makes sense, and let me just say, it's a really healthy way to create a united front for the kids. But I do wonder, wouldn't there be times when these discussions might not go so smoothly?
You raise a good point. It's never going to be a perfect conversation every time. In fact, if things get heated, it's suggested that parents, instead of reacting on the spot, take a moment to step away and collect themselves. This
Yep.
prevents negative patterns from taking over.
That little pause sounds vital, almost like resetting a computer that's overheating.
Exactly. And remember the idea that every conflict is an opportunity for deeper connection. Even though it might sound idealistic, it's really about managing and diffusing those conflicts before they ripple out.
Right, but respectfully, don't you think that's a bit optimistic? In real life, some conflicts might not easily turn into opportunities for connection.
That's a fair challenge. Not every disagreement seamlessly transforms into a bonding moment. However, the focus is on making a conscious effort to communicate clearly and stay aligned, especially when it comes to setting and enforcing rules with the kids.
I can see that. It essentially prioritizes the relationship between partners over the immediacy of reacting to a situation.
Right. And that's key because, misaligned parenting decisions can confuse kids and, essentially undermine their sense of security.
Absolutely. Children thrive in environments where they know what to expect, even if it means rules they might not always love.
Yup, rules provide structure. And while kids might grumble, that structure helps them feel safe. And when parents are aligned, whether it's enforcing consequences or simply setting aside time to talk things out, kids see a united front.
Mm-hmm. And it helps avoid those situations where one parent's reaction creates a divide between the parents. It all ties back into maintaining a strong marital bond.
Right on. And another point the content makes is how differences often stem from deeply rooted personal histories, like what our own parents were like, our culture, even our upbringing.
That makes me think of a time when a friend of mine really had to reconcile her strict upbringing with her partner's laid-back style. A real clash.
Yeah, it's like they had two different rules of the road. One was all about strict discipline, and the other was more about letting the kids take the lead. Without dialogue, that's a recipe for constant friction.
Definitely the kind of friction that can ripple out to affect the whole family if not managed properly.
Exactly. And that's why the advice centers on engaging in meaningful conversation, asking questions like, what does discipline mean to you? Or, which values do you really want to see in our children? Those types of questions can uncover a lot.
Right. And it's not just about the negatives. It can also highlight areas of agreement. Sometimes parents might have very similar core goals, even if their methods differ.
Absolutely. And when you identify those points of agreement, it's like creating a roadmap to working through the differences.
Yes.
It reinforces the idea that in spite of the contrasts, there's common ground.
Mm-hmm. That's a really powerful takeaway for couples who might feel overwhelmed by their different parenting styles.
Definitely. And you know what else stood out? The suggestion that sometimes when emotions run high, parents can say something like, we're really upset about this and need a few minutes to talk. That pause is, critical for self-regulation.
Right, that phrase is so practical. It's a literal pause button allowing both partners to step back before the conversation escalates further.
Exactly. It's like giving each other the space to gather their thoughts so that when you do come back, you're aligned and ready to tackle the issue together.
True.
That can really make a difference in how the kids perceive the situation too.
Kids pick up on that. It reinforces their sense of stability and security.
Right. And let's not forget, the content also underscores that even when you disagree about specific strategies, maintaining respect and avoiding those so-called four horsemen behaviors is crucial.
Yeah, definitely. Criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling, keeping those out of it is vital to avoid long-term damage to the relationship.
Absolutely. And sometimes parents need to step away, have a private discussion, and then come back with a united plan for addressing the child's behavior or situation.
That approach really emphasizes teamwork over individual battles. It's like co-captaining a ship through a storm.
Exactly. Teamwork is everything here. And while it's not always easy to synchronize thought processes, intentional dialogue helps parents learn about each other's core needs and areas where they can flex.
Mm-hmm. I think this strategy also sends a powerful message to the children that even adults have differences and that resolving them through honest conversation is the way to go.
Absolutely. That's a lesson kids really benefit from, sometimes more than any rule ever could.
True.
Over time, it lays the groundwork for healthy conflict resolution for them too.
And it really circles back to the idea that every conflict, if handled well, can be an opportunity to reinforce the love and respect in a family.
Indeed. So, to wrap up our discussion, it's about recognizing that these differences, these parenting styles, aren't just pitfalls, but also, chances to build something together when approached with empathy and clear communication.
Absolutely. A united front not only strengthens the relationship between partners, but also really nurtures the environment the kids grow up in.
Precisely. Thanks for diving into this with me. It's been really enlightening to explore how varied backgrounds and styles can merge into effective teamwork.
For sure, it's a conversation every parent should have with their partner. Thanks everyone for tuning in.